So I want you to imagine a classic locked room mystery for a second. But in this scenario, the door isn't locked from the inside, and the weapon used by the killer, it's entirely invisible. I mean, we're talking about the absolute perfect crime here, leaving zero physical trace. Today, we're unpacking a really chilling case study that details the architect of a psychological execution. It's a mind-bending case that's going to challenge literally everything you think you know about how a human life can be taken. Our story kicks off at exactly 8 p.m. A highly successful businessman named Jason Reed is discovered completely lifeless on the floor of his own office. But here's the thing. It's not just the fact that he's dead that immediately alarms the first responders, it's his face. His expression is absolutely frozen in pure, unadulterated terror. He didn't just peacefully pass away. He saw something or he felt something unimaginably horrifying in his final moments.
Okay, let's dive into this crime scene because it is a total anomaly. The police arrive, they tape off the room, and they start looking for the usual textbook signs of foul play. But the reality of the room is just stark. There is absolutely no sign of a struggle anywhere. No overturned chairs, no broken glass on the floor. There is zero physical injury or blunt force trauma on Jason's body. And there isn't a single drop of blood. It's exactly as if he was just standing there and then boom, he dropped dead.
And honestly, initially, that is exactly what the medical professionals conclude. The coroner's report comes back incredibly clinical, super straightforward, and frankly, pretty mundane. Cause of death, sudden cardiac arrest. So it's ruled a natural death. The authorities are practically ready to pack up their bags, file the paperwork, and close the whole shebang as just a really tragic, sudden medical event.
But the people who actually knew Jason, they paint a vastly different, much darker picture. His closest friends noted, and I quote, "He was scared. For days, he kept saying someone's after him." This wasn't just a guy who happened to have a weak heart out of nowhere, right? This was a man living in a profound, rapidly escalating state of dread. This intense psychological reality completely contradicts that neat clinical medical conclusion we just talked about. So the investigators, thankfully, decide to dig just a little bit deeper. They check his phone, and they uncover these wild digital breadcrumbs that drop us right into the middle of a psychological thriller. They find a string of unread messages from an unknown number. One says, "Your time is up." And then the chilling final text, "Tonight is your last night." I mean, just put yourself in Jason's shoes for a second. You're sitting in a quiet, completely empty office building, and you read that on your glowing screen. And this right here is the exact moment the entire paradigm of the case shifts. Detective Daniel Carter looks at these threatening texts, he looks around the silent, undisturbed room, and he quietly notes, "This isn't random." With those three little words, the entire reality of this explainer transitions from a tragic medical anomaly into an active, highly calculated murder investigation. Someone out there was hunting Jason. While the police manage to trace that unknown number, and it leads them straight to a guy named Ethan Cross. They bring him into the station, and Ethan just totally breaks down. He confesses to sending the messages, to calling him, to telling Jason he was coming for him. But listen closely to his motive. He tells them, "He ruined me. In business. I just wanted him to be scared." Ethan wasn't aiming to shoot or stab Jason. His entire goal was to exact revenge by inflicting severe psychological torment. And this brings us to a really brilliant moment that illustrates the crux of the whole investigation. Detective Carter, sitting right across from Ethan in that cold interrogation room, asks the single most piercing critical question of the entire case. He asks, "Did you ever go to his office?" Everything, and I mean everything, about the legal definition of this crime hinges entirely on Ethan's answer to this one specific question. Ethan shakes his head. "No, never." Think about that for a second. This is the mind-bending twist of the entire narrative. The killer and the victim never physically cross paths. Ethan literally never laid a single finger on Jason. Actually, he never even stepped foot inside Jason's office building. Now, what's really interesting about this is the true, terrifying weapon used in this crime: fear itself. Ethan weaponized human anxiety. He created an invisible threat that took a devastating, very real physical toll on Jason's body. Because of this relentless psychological warfare, Jason could not sleep, he could not eat,
He was trapped in a state of exhausting, constant panic. The weapon was entirely invisible, sure, but the physical degradation was absolutely undeniable.
Let's move on and see how this builds to its terrifying climax on that final night. First, Jason is sitting completely alone in his office. Next, his phone lights up with that final text, "I'm outside the door." Jason looks at the door. There's no one actually there, but the idea is there, the anticipation. This triggers extreme panic. His breathing accelerates. His heart rate violently spikes as his body's fight-or-flight response goes into total overdrive. And finally, his heart simply gives out under the sheer terror of it all. Fatal sudden cardiac arrest.
And this brings us right to the philosophical climax of the case. We are left with a stark, incredibly frustrating paradox. On one side, we have the police final report, which is bound by the strict, rigid letters of the law. No physical assault, no forced entry, no direct contact. But on the flip side, we have the undeniable actual cause, a fatal cardiac arrest triggered directly by extreme psychological stress that was intentionally inflicted by Ethan. It's incredibly frustrating from a legal standpoint, yet undeniably true from a factual one.
Which leads Detective Daniel to articulate this incredible, lingering paradox that I think we should all take away from this. He says, so technically no murder, but someone still killed him. This really forces us to completely rethink the boundaries of the law and exactly how we define violence. I mean, if you intentionally engineer the exact psychological conditions that cause someone's heart to stop beating, haven't you committed a murder, even if you never physically touched them?
So the crucial point we have to walk away with is this. We are so conditioned to think of weapons as tangible, physical things, right? Guns, knives, poisons. But as this chilling breakdown proves, not all murders happen by hand. Some murders start entirely inside the human mind. Let that sink in the next time you receive a message from an unknown number.